You're listening to the Ugly Truth Podcast with George and Christina Markoski, your weekly injection of science, insights, and myth-busting. For awesome info and trending content, go to theuglytruth.blog.
Hello.
Hey, welcome back.
Hi, welcome back to the Ugly Truth Podcast.
Now, I'd like to say a big shout out and thanks to all our listeners and fans and all that. Thank you. And interesting statistics. Most of the people in Australia are listening to our video podcast. And most of the people in the USA are listening to our audio podcast. Now, I think maybe some people don't know about the other stuff. So what I want to do is I want to just, so if you're listening to this as audio, you know, you might want to check out a video because the video is quite fun. It's interesting. But also, if you listen to this on video, you might want to check out the audio. It's great if you're driving. Just chuck the audio on. You can just drive along and listen to us talk along and stuff like that. But either way, I'd like to thank everyone for all that support. And if you really enjoy the show, when you finish, maybe you'd like to rate and review us. That'd be awesome.
That would be excellent.
That's it. So let's go.
Thank you. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So basically, I'm going to be interviewing George Markoski about how he cured himself of Crohn's holistically.
Yes. So I guess one thing we need to tell people what Crohn's is. Crohn's is an autoimmune disease, and so a lot of autoimmune diseases have got a very similar thing to them, where what happens is your body is attacking itself. So basically it's a Th1 dominance compared to a Th2 dominance a lot of the time.
When you say your body's attacking itself, what do you mean by that?
Okay, let me talk about Crohn's specifically, just so, because I know what I'm talking about there.
Sorry, just cut this part. Can you just put the timer on so I can see?
It's right there.
I can't see that.
I need this, so you're going to have to look at that.
I can't see it at all.
The red.
No, I can't see anything. That's okay.
That's all we got.
You'll guide me.
I'll guide you. Anyway, so we've cut that part. We're going to start again.
No, just keep going.
Yeah, okay.
So what do you mean when you say your body's attacking itself?
Okay, so with Crohn's, what happens is your white blood cells attack the lining of your gut.
Right, okay.
Right? And autoimmune disease causes a lot of problems. So, like, for example, you've got multiple sclerosis, where your immune system attacks your nerve, the myelin sheaths in your nerves. Hashimoto's disease is where your immune system attacks the thyroid. So usually autoimmune is a sort of place where arthritis is where your immune system attacks the joints in your fingers.
What about autism?
Okay, that's an interesting one. I'm not an expert on autism, so I'm not going to go there.
I'm sure we'll save that for another episode.
Well, immunity, autoimmune diseases and the gut are related. And that's what I'll talk about today.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of evidence about autism in the gut. So there's a lot there. So what I want to do is we're going to delve into that in a minute.
But we're focusing on Crohn's today.
We're going to talk about Crohn's today because I've got the experience. I know.
Yeah.
So basically, let's talk about the beginning.
So let's go back to the beginning of your journey and how this whole thing sort of came about. So when were you formally diagnosed with Crohn's disease?
Back in 2000.
Early 2000s?
Early 2000. 2000. As in
2000. The actual
yes,
2000.
Actual 2000, yes.
Gotcha.
At the dawn of the century, that's it.
Yeah.
So what happened was...
so what sort of how were you feeling? What prompted you to actually go and seek out medical advice?
For many years, I had a lot of stomach problems.
Right.
And I had a lot of pain here in the bottom left.
Bottom left side of your bowel?
Yep. And there was just pain, and I'd go to the doctor and get checked out, and they did different tests, and they couldn't really work it out. You know what I mean?
How many doctors would have you seen?
I went to a few doctors. Didn't go to a lot. I just ignored the pain and carried on.
Okay.
Right. And back in those days, it was just the beginning of the internet. There wasn't a lot of research you could do. It was very different to now, where there's so much information. You know, I wish there was more information then. So then what happened was I ended up with a fistula, which is like a sort of like a big pimple coming out of your anus.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I thought, shit, is this cancer? What's going on? Scared the shit out of me.
Okay, so that's when you went and...
I said, look, I need to see an expert on this. I went and saw this expert, and we ended up having a colonoscopy and a little bit of surgery on that.
Right.
Going back, I would have done things a lot differently if I knew what I was doing,
Yep.
right? And he said, you got Crohn's.
Wow.
And he said, it's a
Okay.
very rare disease, and you got Crohn's. And he basically said, you're fucked.
Wow.
But not in those words, but that's
Yeah.
what it was like. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. Anyway, he sent me to a specialist. Mm-hmm. I went to the specialist, and the specialist sort of said, oh, let me have a feel. He had a bit of a feel and goes, yep, you got Crohn's, you need to take this. And he gave me a script.
So he didn't do any blood tests or anything. He just felt the stomach.
Nothing at all.
Okay.
He had a look at the colonoscopy results.
Yep.
And then just had a feel of my stomach and said, you know, you got to take this. And he goes, you've got to take this immunosuppressants, right? And they're very powerful immunosuppressants. And he said, take these, otherwise you'll end up we're going to have to cut your bowel out in 2 years.
Because a lot of people that have Crohn's, they end up getting their bowel chopped out
They
to
do.
cut out the inflammation.
Yes. So anyway, scared the hell out of me. So I go home and I've got this script. And this guy's told me they're going to cut out my bowel in 2 years if I don't take this
Oh my
stuff out.
God, in 2 years'
if I
time.
don't take this stuff.
Wow.
And that everything else like that. And I decided, what the hell? I'll Google this. Let's Google this drug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I Google it. First thing that comes up is if you take it for 2 years, you get cancer. Mm-hmm. And then I read a little bit more. And it's like causes cancer and this and that. And there's so much evidence for this, you know, immunosuppressant causing cancer and all sorts of stuff.
So let me get this straight. The prescription for your Crohn's that the doctor had prescribed was going to give you cancer effectively if you took it.
According to Dr. Google and according to some studies,
Yep.
people had a much higher incidence of getting cancer after taking this, especially after a year or two on it.
Wow.
So I thought, wow, so in 2 years' time, I can get my bowel chopped out or I can get cancer. I'd rather get my bowel chopped out, really, compared to cancer,
Right.
because cancer is pretty bad. So anyway, I made another appointment to see a doctor. And I said, look, I'm concerned,
Yeah.
right? I said, look, I'm concerned that this is going to give me cancer. And I'm worried about it. Mm-hmm. He goes, don't be stupid. You know, you need to take this. And then he goes, let me have a look. And he had a look at my stomach. And I had a pimple. He goes, look, it's happening already.
Oh my
You're getting a
God.
fistula.
He's trying to like scare
And
you.
I said,
Yeah.
look, this is a pimple. Like, that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, no, it's your bowel trying to get out of your stomach and everything. And basically, I told him where to go. I said, I've had enough of this. I'm leaving. This is bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you're trying to give me cancer, now you're pretending that a pimple is going to do this to me. So I was quite upset about it because I felt like this guy really didn't have a good look at what was happening,
Yeah.
right? And just said, take this
Just trying to
and
press
get
the
out of and get out of my
pharmaceuticals, yeah.
office, trying to sell me some sort of cancer drug. And that was a real wake-up call. So I thought, wow, this guy doesn't really give a shit about me.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's talking about because he hasn't really diagnosed me or done any tests or asked me any questions or anything. He's just got me in his office to write me a prescription and get out of me.
Yeah.
So, because I've read about these conspiracy theories about doctors, you know, they just want to write your scripts and all that. And I don't believe it, but this guy was acting like that.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And really, there was no patient care going on there at all. And I thought, well, with anything in life, I suppose, I thought at the end of the day, you got to take ultimate responsibility.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the realization came, a doctor like that is not going to help me. My other doctor had no idea.
Just
He
no
didn't know what it was
duty of
happening.
care. Yeah.
Well, he had no duty of care, but other doctors just had no idea. They really didn't know. They didn't know much about it. And I thought, well, I need to become the expert.
Yeah.
And I always believe that you control your own destiny, you control your life and what happens in it, and it's up to you. And if you leave the responsibility to other people, well, you deserve what you got almost, you know what I mean? You can't just sit there like a dummy and go, okay, doctor, I'll do this, I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So I'm not saying doctors are bad or anything, just saying this particular doctor was a dick. And
Okay,
if
yeah.
you watch this podcast, he probably is not. I won't tell him that. I like to look him up and find out what his name was. Anyway, so now going back from then, I did some research and thought Crohn's, blah, 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 on the internet. And then I sort of worked out maybe what actually caused it in the beginning. So when I was like 15, 16,
Yeah.
I had really bad acne.
Okay.
It was terrible. I had a lot of testosterone going through me. I was probably eating the wrong food, but I was just covered.
Wow.
It was terrible.
Yeah, right.
And as a 15, 16-year-old boy who's interested in girls, who's just discovered women, not the best thing to happen to you.
No.
You know, looking like some monster and trying to, you know, try to woo the opposite sex.
So what did you discover?
So I went to different doctors and tried antibacterial washes and all sorts of stuff and put garlic in my face. I did everything. And in the end, my doctor said, look, why don't you try Roaccutane? And apparently that cures
Pimples.
pimples, yeah. Anyway,
So did it fix your acne?
yes, it certainly did.
Right.
Fixed my acne. But unfortunately, it's really, really a lot of side effects. And one of the side effects is Crohn's.
Because it sounds like it's got a lot of harsh chemicals in it.
Look, it's a derivative of vitamin A, but it has some very profound, strong effects in the body.
Right.
Also, being a teenager, going through those hormone changes and everything else like that, you've got to be very careful. But unfortunately, I wasn't smart enough or educated enough at the time. And my parents didn't know any better, and we did it, and I think that's what caused it. Now, regardless if that caused it or not,
So you're saying you taking that medication for your acne
that could have been the trigger.
damaged your bowel. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. So, and there's been a lot of studies where that's happened, and there's a
Right.
huge prevalence of people taking that and getting Crohn's. That's not the only cause, though. There's a
Wow.
lot of acute things that can happen in life to cause autoimmune. So autoimmune just doesn't happen out of nowhere. So it's a mixture of, chemicals, diet, lifestyle, stress. And you put enough stress,
Yeah.
chemicals, or wrong diet and lifestyle together.
Because a lot of people don't believe that autoimmune diseases such as Crohn's are even linked to your diet. A lot of people don't believe in that connection. So
No,
how
they
did
don't.
you do the research to figure out that link and how that's connected? How
Okay.
what you eat obviously affects your health.
Okay, so I've always been very holistic. So I've always been into eating good food, and I've tried different diets to try and improve myself.
Yeah.
So I've always been that minded anyway. But then I was on a mission to find out more about Crohn's, find out about autoimmune and how I can fix myself. And that
Yeah.
was my mission, complete mission, besides, getting in business and property investing and stuff, which is my hobby. But my real mission was to get myself better. Because what was happening is, I suppose, I had quite a big gut,
Yeah.
skinny arms, skinny legs, my hair was falling out.
Now, when
I
you
looked-
say you had a big gut, you had like a lot of inflammation
a
that
lot
was
of
swelling up your
inflammation that
stomach.
was swelling up my stomach. And what I found is I couldn't put on muscle,
Wow.
couldn't gain
Yeah.
food, and I had consistent diarrhea.
Wow.
And a lot of people on Crohn's don't have a lot of energy, and it's very bad for you because you've got so much inflammation going on, you're just damaging your body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it ages you, makes you look a lot older. So a lot of people with Crohn's disease find it hard to gain muscle
Yep.
and don't have a lot of energy, and it really affects the quality of life. And sooner or later, what happens is they have to cut their bowel out, and sooner or later they end up sometimes with a colonoscopy bag.
So they end up with a bag
The bag
they need to
that you need to pull out
use
of, which
to
would be
go to
horrible.
the toilet. Yeah, that would
Totally.
suck.
And I guess you got constant pain and different things like that. So I was getting cramps in my stomach, and I had constant diarrhea and loose stools. Excuse me for explaining this on the podcast. And so I went on a bit of a mission.
Right.
And first thing I tried was raw food.
Okay, so you decided to change your diet
Yes.
and what you were eating to
Yes.
improve your health.
That's right. Yep.
So you went for a raw food diet.
Yep, totally.
That was your very
totally.
first
That was my first
diet.
attempt, raw food.
Okay.
Raw foods are really good because it's easy to digest if you do it the right way. So I've learnt a lot now, so I've got a lot of experience when it comes to diet because I've tried it all myself, so I've made all the mistakes other people have made.
Yeah.
And when I look at it, I know the pros and cons. And I suppose, like, when you look at a juice diet, raw food, that's very easy on your system, and it's easy to get nutrients, and it's not going to tax your system. But raw food is in raw food and fruit and vegetables.
That would be very hard to
It's gonna be-
digest, wouldn't
exactly,
it?
exactly,
Because with the
totally.
juice, all the hard work's been done
Yes.
by the juicer.
That's
it's
right.
mushed up the fruit.
Well, when you cook something, the hard work's done by the cooking.
Yeah,
Now,
'cause
there's a
it's
lot of
already
there's a
pre-digested.
lot of advocates that say, well, you kill a lot of enzymes and stuff, and that's true. So some foods are better raw, and some foods are better cooked, and that's just the way it is. But there's
Yeah.
no hard and fast rule.
Because it would be super easy for your bowel to absorb a juice compared
super
to,
easy.
let's say, an apple.
Yes,
Which
but
you
you
would have
look,
to
you
work
look, you
harder.
look, you look at a potato, which you wouldn't eat anyway. But raw food would eat that raw. Now, it's full of starch, and raw, it's going to be hard on your gut. Cooked, it's going to be a lot easier. I mean,
Yeah. Well, when you're cooking something, you're essentially pre-digesting it outside of your stomach already.
you are, but depending on how you're cooking it, sometimes you damage it and destroy the vitamins and minerals.
Okay.
Not the
So
minerals, but
what's
the
the
vitamins.
best way to cook something then?
See, that's the funny thing.
Depends on what it is. Or?
Depends on what it is. So, different things are better processed different ways.
Right.
Right, like for example, an avocado. Best way to eat that is raw. Mm-hmm. It's full of fat, easy to digest, done.
Okay. Yeah.
That's an easy one. You look at broccoli. Broccoli, you're better off, steaming it or cooking it under low temperature, like like a steam or something like that, because then you're opening up the cell walls and things, because we don't have full stomachs to digest it. And broccoli's an interesting thing because it's anti-cancer, because it's slightly toxic on the system. That's an interesting one I'll talk about one day. But
And I guess with pumpkin being a lectin, it's better to cook it in a pressure cooker.
yes, so
destroy all
pumpkin,
those
exactly,
lectins.
because pumpkin's got every vegetable's got a lectin in it.
Yes, but
But some lectins,
certain ones with high concentration.
Before we say lectin, let's explain what lectins are.
Okay.
Lectins are proteins that are in plants and fruit, and what they're there for is to, I guess, stop animals from digesting them, because it's part of their defense. And different plants got different types of lectins or anti-nutrients. Some have got very powerful ones. Like you look at soybeans. Soybeans are very, very hard to digest raw, right? Or even cooked, actually, because they're very powerfully protected. But if you ferment them, then they're fine. So you've got natto. Natto is a fermented soybean, which actually is very high in vitamin K. It's very slimy and quite unusual.
You can get it at a Japanese restaurant.
Yes, but it's really good for you. But a soybean that's raw or cooked or genetically modified is not going to be so good for you. It's actually very, very hard to digest. Most grains and seeds are very hard to digest. And there was a guy who, a long time ago, I forgot his name, but hopefully in the show notes we can put his name down. This guy decided to go on a nut diet and only ate nuts, nothing else.
Oh, didn't that
It destroyed his immune system.
bowel?
Destroyed his digestive system.
Ooh.
But he tried it out. I mean, a lot of people tried a lot of different things, and I wasn't a raw
Well, you've
food.
tried a lot of diets. How many diets have you tried all up, would you say?
We're going to count them up in a minute.
Okay, we're
So
going to count them
anyway,
up.
so I went to Deanne Wigmore raw
Which is-
food diet.
Okay, yeah.
Right. This is where you have no animal protein at all. You eat raw food, and it's mainly vegetarian, and you eat some fruits as well.
Right.
Right. You eat everything raw, including potato.
Potato. Oh, raw
Right.
potato.
Yes. And you make this little probiotic drink called Rejuvelac, which is made out of fermented wheat.
Right, okay.
Right. Yes.
And how did you find that diet affected your health?
Look,
Did you improve from where you were currently?
compared to the average diet, it's actually quite good. See, some diets are really good short term, but not good long term. So there's a big difference there, which is interesting, because something that can heal you short term may not be able to help you sustain you long term.
Right.
Right.
A bit like fasting, how fasting short term is good, but you can't fast forever, otherwise you'll die.
Exactly. So so after I went on that diet, and it was quite good, but being raw food and having gut problem, you're not going to have things stay in you very long.
And you're not going to absorb any nutrients.
Well, depends how you do it. Because if you do a juice, you're going to absorb nutrients. But if you eat
Oh, right. Yeah.
you know what I mean. There's a mixture of that.
Okay.
But to really, the way I decided to sort of quantify all this is look at my symptoms and look at my body. And I thought,
Did you measure your certain markers and blood tests and things like that?
yes. So
Right.
basically, I was measuring my cytokines. So cytokines are inflammation markers in the body. The
Yep.
basic measurement is CRP, but there's quite a lot of other measurements there. And you get a comprehensive list, which includes TNF alpha and TNF beta and all that sort of stuff as well. And
How would a normal person find out about what to test for?
okay, so the first step is to test your normal markers, CRP.
So you go to your doctor and say, I want to test my CRP.
Yeah, you want a high sensitivity CRP sort of panel.
Yep.
You want to test your homocysteine, your ESR sedition, your ESR levels, and you want to check out your homocysteine.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put this list in the show notes.
Exactly.
If you want
Totally.
to find out what to test, because a normal doctor's not going to test these things. You're going to have to specifically request this.
Yep. So testing inflammation markers is very important because that's going to show you are you inflamed or not.
Absolutely.
And if you are, then you've got to go to a cytokine panel.
Right.
Yep, and do the whole lot. So, but anyway, I was just doing the basic tests.
Okay.
But the other test I was looking at my body and my symptoms. Did
Yeah.
I feel tired? Did I have energy? Did I have
Exactly.
pain?
Judge the
Was
results.
it pain-free?
Yeah.
And I found I couldn't gain muscle on that whole vegetarian The raw food diet was great, but I had a lot of energy, but no muscle. And I was I think that if the diet suits you, you're going to look good.
Yeah.
And if you're not looking good, who gives a shit about the
Well,
diet?
there's something wrong if
There's
you're not
some-
gaining muscle.
Well, exactly.
Well, obviously you were working out as well. You're not
was
just
no.
going, oh, I'm not gaining
I
muscle.
wasn't
When-
drinking juice going, oh, no muscle.
Oh, why aren't
No.
I gaining muscle? But
No,
you
no.
were working out. weren't you?
I was working out for years and years and years.
Wow.
Right?
Yep.
And then I came across a site called Beyond Vegetarianism. And they talked about Paleolithic times and paleo diet and maybe introducing a bit of dairy and meat into your diet. Right? And so I went paleo before. It wasn't called paleo then. This was before it was called paleo. It was called the Paleolithic diet. Right? No wonder it wasn't popular. It was too long to say. Right?
And it would have been a very new concept for people at the time.
Yes. So I got into that diet and I found that worked really well. So I was still doing a lot of raw stuff, right? Raw fish, sashimi, bit of raw beef, and vegetables with paleo, and that worked really well.
Right.
And I gained a lot of muscle, started looking better, feeling better. It was fantastic. It was awesome because I noticed a huge difference because in 1 year I gained quite a few kilos of muscle and looked a lot better. And you know it's hard to do that with Crohn's. So I knew the diet was working for me because the most important thing with Crohn's is, or any autoimmune, what happens is you've got a lot of neurotransmitters in your gut. Our gut has got more neurons than a dog's brain.
Right. Wow.
So our gut is our second brain. It's our second biggest brain. And there's a lot of communication.
That's the mind-gut connection that you're talking about.
The mind-gut connection. And basically your microbiome, which is all your bacteria, there's more cells of the microbiome inside you than your own cells. There's trillions. So you need to get that balance right. And everything you do affects your microbiome. And ultimately your microbiome affects your immune system, your inflammation, and the quality of your life. So what I came to find out finally is your microbiome is the most important thing you need to look after. And how do you look after it? By giving it the right environment. So the microbiome will thrive in the right environment. And what's that? The right sort of foods and water and juices, but also mentally the right environment, because you're under stress, you're going to create problems as well. So whenever there's an immune system problem, autoimmune, I suggest that people will also look at the emotional part of it.
Right.
A lot of times there could be a significant emotional experience or a part of stress or post-traumatic stress disorder or anything like that could cause it. So one of the other things that I did is I learnt neurolinguistic programming and hypnotherapy. Luckily I was a master of those things already, and using NLP and timeline therapy especially, I went in and tried to get rid of any emotional issues if there were. Because with our timeline therapy, you don't even have to be aware of it, but you can still get rid of emotional issues and things like that.
That's good.
And I think it's very important. There's another thing called EFT, which is really good, and that works really well for autoimmune as well. Because with any autoimmune, there's an emotional component, and you want to get rid of that stress. Now, how do you measure your stress? This is the funny thing, because that's an important thing. And it's only till recently that I discovered this, but there's a thing called HRV, heart rate variability. And you can monitor that, and that will tell you your stress level. So you want to get HR high. So what happens is in between each heartbeat, there's...
So that's heart rate variability?
That's right.
Yep.
So in regards to your heart rate, what happens is it doesn't just go boom, 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 boom. But what happens in between each beat, it's variable. It's not the same. Now, contrary to what you think, the more variance there is, the less stress you have.
Right.
Yeah, because you think the other way around. That's what I thought. Because I thought the more constant, the better. But no, the less constant, the better.
Okay.
Because when you've got more variability, you're not in flight or fight. See, if you're ready for fight or flight, your brain gets turned on, your heart rate's not variable because it needs the output at a maximum output.
Right.
But when you're relaxed, you don't have to do that. So you relax, so your heart rate can flutter around a bit. So
Gotcha.
if your heart rate variability is high, it means you don't have that much stress. But if it's low, it means you've got some sort of chronic stress in your system. And that way you can do it. So what I'm doing is, part of what I'm doing is meditation, mindfulness, because it's very, very important, because you don't even know you're stressed. So I've got a polar monitor that I use with an app on my thing, and I try to measure my HRV. And next week we've actually got an expert coming on board, a good friend of mine who has spent years studying the vagus nerve, heart rate variability and mindfulness, which is going to be great.
Awesome. So going back to your diet, so you tried raw food and then you went to paleo.
Went to paleo, yeah. But
How many diets in between those two did you have all up? 'Cause
Well,
you've
at
tried
the
a lot
moment,
of
I've got a
diets.
mixture of my own diet. But throughout my life, I suppose the first diet I tried when I had acne was Pritikin diet.
Right. Yeah.
So then from Pritikin diet, I went to the Anthony Robbins thing and did the Anthony Robbins sort of diet, which is more about raw food, but getting away from mushrooms and wine and vinegar, anything fermented.
Okay.
Which is interesting because
yeah.
I've gone into fermented food now, the opposite. Right? And then after that, I did the Food for Life diet, which is fruit in the morning, and then I did food combination diet, where you combine certain things and don't. Then the Ann Wigmore diet, right, which is a raw diet. Then I did the raw food. I was raw food vegan, vegetarian, octo-lacto vegetarian, and then I'm trying to remember. I might miss something. Then after that, I did the fruitarian diet, where you just eat fruit, nothing else.
Yep.
That was pretty full on. Yeah, I tried.
So you tried 9 diets.
No, we haven't finished yet.
Oh, you're still going? Okay.
Then we had the Paleolithic diet.
10, yeah.
Right. And then after paleo, I went to SCD. Now, SCD was a real breakthrough. Okay. So I did paleo, and that was quite good. The specific carbohydrate diet really made a huge difference. Amazing difference.
Okay.
So all these diets had their thing, but specific carbohydrate diet, SCD diet, is where you get rid of complex carbohydrates.
So what's a complex carbohydrate? Give us an example.
Okay, so let me give you a little bit of SCD. So SCD, what happened was there was kids that had problems with Crohn's, and they found that certain foods improved them, right? And there was a lady called Elaine Goshfield who wrote a book, Breaking the Vicious Cycle, where she was saying when your gut is damaged, you haven't got the ability to absorb complex carbs. So, for example, sugar, right, is a disaccharide, which means saccharide means sugar and di means 2, which means there's 2 sugar molecules. They're connected by 2 connections here. So you've got to break these 2 bonds to digest it. Now, honey has got 1. It's been pre-digested by the bees. So guess what? 1 easy to break. So honey's okay, sucrose is not. Because what happens is if you've got complex carbs, they end up in your small intestine, and it's called SIBO, which is small intestine bacterial overgrowth, which is not good for you. So by getting rid of specific carbohydrates, you can cut all that out and solve that, which is awesome.
So how did you find out about the SCD diet? What led you down that path?
Google. I just Googled and Googled
just
and
research
Googled.
and Google.
I Googled the shit out of this, right?
Okay.
And SCD worked really well. So then after that, I discovered GAPS. And what's that stand for?
Gut and psychology syndrome. That's it. Gut and psychology syndrome.
So there was who wrote GAPS, by the way?
That was Dr. Natasha Campbell McBridge.
Yep.
McBride, sorry.
Yes. Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, she wrote the GAPS diet, which is similar to the SCD diet. However, there's a lot of bone broths in there to heal your gut.
Yes.
Because Weston A. Price, which I was on that sort of diet, Weston A. Price, he went around the world and studied indigenous cultures and how they were healthier than the normal diet in the Western world, and discovered that there was a lot to be said about basically authentic traditional diet. Because basically what happened was, if you look at our ancestors, and you look at paleo, that's like 10,000 years ago, but people weren't stupid between then and now. There was a lot of wisdom there as well.
They didn't just go to McDonald's drive-through between then and now.
So what we're going to do is, I like paleo, but I think we don't want to throw everything out that we've done in the last 10,000 years, because we've done a lot of good things. And what we find is traditional culture have got a lot of fermented foods, and they found a lot of interesting ways to make food healthier and more digestible.
Right.
Yes.
And they must have done it for a reason.
Exactly. So if you look at our traditional stuff, and like my parents, they came to Australia with a lot of their traditional stuff, and they like to make their own yogurt, which
That's
makes
pretty cool,
which makes, because milk, if it's fermented, it's easier to digest and it's better for you, and there's a lot of probiotics in it. And remember, we're talking about your gut bacteria and your microbiome. Yogurt's really good for that, because we've got lactobacillus. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but yes.
What does that do? What is that?
It's a certain strain of probiotic that's really good for your stomach.
So it's bacteria.
Yes, bacteria. So what they discovered is people with Crohn's have got a certain profile of gut microbiome compared to the average person. It's different.
Right.
And what I'm doing is, through diet, lifestyle, meditation, is changing my microbiome. Because through meditation and being calm and being mindful, you're actually changing your microbiome, believe it or not. But the big thing is the food, right?
Yeah.
So what I want to do is eat a lot of probiotic food. So you've got we've done a podcast you want to check it out on kefir.
Yeah,
We've got a whole hour of that.
Kefir.
So kefir is very powerful. You got yogurt, you got sauerkraut, but not sauerkraut you buy in the shop.
No, that's full of sugar.
You've got to buy fermented sauerkraut. And even yogurt on the SCD diet, they say you've got to make your own yogurt. The reason being is the yogurt you buy in stores is manufactured in a wholesale way, and it's not really the right type of yogurt.
Full of cheap fillers, sugar.
There's a lot of milk solids in there to make it thick and things like that, and you want it to be natural. So, and you've got kombucha and kefir, all sorts of different things that actually are amazing when it comes to your gut microbiome.
That's awesome. So that's, I guess, a good sort of overview of the diet that you've used to cure Crohn's up until this point in time. You've touched a bit on what else you're doing in terms of meditation and exercise. Is there anything else that you're using to cure yourself? What else are you doing specifically?
One more thing about foods. If you've got autoimmune, you've got to watch out for nightshades and lectins. So we're talking about lectins, but there's I want to do a whole series on lectins. That's going to take an hour.
We'll do another episode on that.
Lectins, staying away from grains, complex carbohydrates and whole grains. And I know everyone's told you eat whole grains, but stay away from whole grains.
Forget everything you know about eating whole grains.
They're very hard to digest. They're very difficult. And it's interesting that the rich people in the past used to have white bread, but the poor people had black bread. You know what I mean?
Brown bread.
Brown bread, not black, yeah. Or if it's charcoal. Nightshade. So basically, with the nightshades, basically in Europe, we didn't have tomatoes, potatoes, chilies, all that sort of stuff. And then they discovered the new Americas and then brought them over. So we're not used to those sort of lectins, a lot of people in that sort of area. Europe, Africa, Asia, you know what I mean?
Well, it was brought there 10,000 years ago, wasn't it?
No. We only discovered America a little while ago. It wasn't that far away.
Oh, that must have been when we started doing agriculture.
Yes. No, but the lectin-containing foods only came across recently.
Very recently. How recently?
After Christopher Columbus discovered America. That's when it all started.
Which was... I need dates. I need a timeline for this.
Christopher, keep talking.
So, nightshades and everything like that, how did you discover that they were bad? What led you to that?
Well...
Was it the plant paradox?
No, I learned about this a long time ago.
That's how I found out.
Yes. So we heard about nightshades being bad for autoimmune. There's a lot about it on the internet about it, but basically, I knew that certain foods had certain effects on me. And by reading it, it sort of said, wow, that's so true.
It just confirmed
Totally.
what you were thinking.
Like, I
already,
love
yeah.
hot chili, love it. Mm-hmm. But when I eat hot chili, it's bad.
It's not good.
So when we said about curing Crohn's disease, I haven't cured Crohn's disease as such.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've done is I've got rid of all my symptoms and effects of it if I stay true to my diet and lifestyle.
Right, gotcha.
So if I eat the right foods and have the right lifestyle and I'm not under stress, I can just go along and I'll be fine. No symptoms, no nothing, and I'll be totally fine. Now, if I go on a binge and drink a lot of alcohol for a short period of time, eat the wrong foods, eat carbs,
Your
and get
symptoms
stressed
will
out,
come back,
then
yeah.
slowly my symptoms will come back. And I'll, firstly my symptoms, but I can, if I'm being good and follow the lifestyle and diet, I can have a bad meal here or there, and it's fine.
Yeah, of course.
Because another thing, we've got to talk about is with Crohn's and autoimmune, you've got to look at leaky gut.
Yes.
And leaky gut is where, because you've only got one molecule thick all the way from here down to the bottom, separating the inside of you with the outside world.
Right.
Yep. Because when you think about it, you've got a tube for your mouth down to your anus.
Yeah.
So you almost, everything inside there is on the outside of your body, inside.
I still don't get what you're saying with
let
that.
me explain.
but-
Let me explain. So let's say you've got a river and you've got a tunnel going under the river, through the other side.
Yep,
Whatever's in that tunnel is not in the river. It's in the tunnel. So
obviously.
it's on the outside of the river.
It's on the inside of the river, though.
But there's no water in the tunnel, so it's not on the inside of the river, it's outside of the river.
That's just confusing.
Anyway, that's the way it is. So
Did you
anyway,
discover when tomatoes and all that were brought to
no,
Italy?
I didn't discover it. We'll just
okay.
put it in the show notes.
We'll
Doesn't
put it in
matter.
the show notes.
So anyway, so basically, those nightshades are not good.
Because we can't digest them properly.
Yes, so-
and they're toxic, aren't they?
Well, we can digest them, but the challenge is
They're poisonous, so they're putting low dose of poison in you.
The tomato, the chili plant, eggplant, the potato, what are they related to? What's the nightshade?
Poison ivy.
Now, would you eat poison ivy?
No.
No. Now, do I say don't eat tomato? No, I'm not saying that at all. Because you can actually peel it and cook it
Take
in a
the
pressure
seeds
cooker.
out and put it in a pressure
and then
cooker.
it'll be good for you. So you just got to find...
Because if you look at the Italians, the way they actually make traditional pasta sauce is they will peel the tomatoes and take out the seeds.
Yes.
And then cook up.
And you look at the Roma
just the meat.
tomatoes. Roma tomatoes don't have a lot of seeds.
And
it's mainly pulp.
they grew them as a hybrid so that they had more meat,
Yes.
so that they didn't have to
Yes.
do as much stuffing
And
around.
potatoes. No one wanted potatoes. And people die from eating potatoes.
They
if you
only
didn't know.
ate them because of the famines, didn't they? And they started growing more.
Look, potatoes have got a very high yield. And throughout history, people have had trouble getting enough calories. So it made a lot of sense to use them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I guess they do fill you up and things like that. However, they're still a nightshade. And I wouldn't eat them.
Still poison ivy at the end of the day.
Yes. So
So is that sort of the overview of diet?
that's the overview of diet. Absolutely. Done.
So what else are you doing? So you're doing meditation.
Yep.
What else outside of diet? Like, are you taking any supplements?
Supplements.
Yep. Do you want to
Okay.
give us a quick overview? Don't go through all of them because there's literally hundreds,
Okay,
and I've
so-
seen them all. They take
Look,
up our cellar. So.
I take a lot of supplements, and I'm going to talk about
And
a
every
few.
week we get a new delivery of a big box of supplements.
Look, I believe in taking the right supplements for what you need, and there's a lot of herbs and a lot of supplements that are anti-inflammatory,
Right.
right? And I think they're very, very important. So omega-3 fish oils, for example, they're very anti-inflammatory and they're really good. And it's one of my favourite supplements. It's fantastic.
Omega-3, yep.
Yeah, and the good thing is everyone knows about omega-3 now, which is good. So that's an easy one. You got black cumin seed oil, which is very anti-inflammatory. So curcumin, curcumin's amazing. A lot of these anti-inflammatory things are also anti-cancer as well.
Yeah, well, that
So-
would go hand in hand.
Yeah, so when you, a lot of this stuff is good for so many different things. Because usually, if something's anti-inflammatory, it usually lowers your blood glucose. It usually is anti-cancer, and so there's a lot of knock-on effects. So and they're synergistic, I suppose.
Yeah.
But talk about diet and trying to control symptoms and doing things is fasting, which is the opposite of diet, I suppose, because it's not eating, but it's part of it.
Yeah.
So one of the main things that I do is do a lot of fasting.
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah, so if you look up our podcast, we've got a podcast on intermittent fasting, and that's pretty cool because that will explain a lot of it to you. But I'll just do a quick summary now. Is you got 21 meals in a day, in a week, and out of that we've cut out probably around 10 because we normally don't have breakfast or lunch, and we've got our window of feeding right down. So my window of feeding would be between probably around about between 7 to about 9.
Yeah.
It's about 2 hours.
Very
if that.
small.
Very small window. The
So-
smaller your window, the less inflammation.
Doing a 24-hour fast.
That's 24 hour.
Yeah.
So I normally do that most days. And then some days I decide to have lunch. Like today we had breakfast. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, I still feel sick from that because I'm so used to fasting. Like when I eat lunch, it makes me feel really sluggish and really tired.
Yeah. So today we had breakfast, lunch,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. And
Brunch.
tonight we're going to have dinner as well. That's 2 meals. That's a lot for us. Yay. So I've cut down on the amount of food that we eat, and food does cause inflammation and is a big burden. It's very hard to digest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because your bowel's got to work very hard to absorb all that
Yes,
food.
exactly. So you want to give it a rest because our ancestors, Paleolithic man, didn't get to eat.
3 meals a day.
Paleo man didn't get to eat
No
3 meals
way.
a day. So we're not used to it, you know. And also then what I do is once a month I do dry fasts. So I'll do a 3-day fast with no food, no water. Now that might sound crazy, but next week we're actually interviewing this lady, Christine. Amazing lady. She's so awesome. She does 10 days in a row. No food,
Unbelievable.
no water. And I really look forward to having a chat to her because she's got a lot of experience at this. And I
Yeah.
want to share this with the world, but with someone that really knows what they're talking about, because you've got to be very careful when you dry fast. There's a lot involved in regards to making sure you're alkalized and
And you're doing it safely.
I'm doing it. I
Absolutely.
check all my blood and my
Yeah.
blood markers and my urine strips and my blood pressure. So there's a lot involved. You can't just go, oh yeah, what the hell, dry fast. You've got to be very careful the way you do it.
Totally.
But dry fasting gets you into ketosis. A lot of and actually, 5 days of wet fasting resets your immune system.
Wow.
But because dry fasting's more harsh, I reckon it only takes about 2 or 3 days of dry fast to reset it, which really reduces an overactive immune system.
And overall, I guess you're also living a chemical-free life.
Yes, well,
When I say chemical-free, I mean to the best of your ability.
yes. So yes, I don't use poisons in my house, and I try to eat most of my food organic, and most of the cleaning products, actually all the cleaning products, are organic based.
So
Because
when did you find out that chemicals affected your health? Because a lot of people are still unaware of chemicals being linked to health problems.
Well, the funny thing is, in most cases, the air outside your house is cleaner than the air inside your house,
Right.
just due to chemicals of what's happening. And that's pretty scary.
And the people living inside the house as well.
Totally. The thing is, you can't completely get away from it. Like, this is a leather lounge, right? Now, they would have treated this leather
Yeah.
with toxic chemicals to get it to last this long. You know what I mean? Because this couch, I bought this couch over 20 years ago, funny enough. So I've had it for quite a while. Yeah, about 20 years ago. And I've still got it. That's why you buy quality. It's great. But the thing is, now it's had 20 years to gas off. I want to keep it as long as I can. I like to keep things as long as I can.
So I guess what people could do is if they've got a brand new piece of furniture or even new sheets or a new blanket, if it's not organic, they could leave it outside for a week.
I guess if it's a sheet, you wash it.
Yeah,
let it
wash
gas
it,
off. But
okay.
with furniture, especially if you've got particle board or something like that, I'd leave it outside somewhere, let it gas off for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think this is worth talking about in depth.
Okay.
But you want to cleaning products are the big thing. I can't believe you see that thing on TV. And I saw this ad because I don't have a TV, but when I go to someone's house, I'll see it. We have a TV, but it's not connected to the TV. We can just watch movies on it or something.
Yeah.
And basically, there's this thing where they keep spraying out a nice scent in your house when you walk past.
Yeah, so they're in public toilets as well, those things that spray out.
But you can get them from your home.
Yeah.
And you plug them to electricity and they spray out. There's another one you can get from your home where it sprays out bug spray every now and again, continually.
To kill the bugs in your house?
Yes.
So it's low doses of toxic
And just keep spraying it.
spray.
And I look at this commercial, I'm thinking, oh my God, you must be crazy. Who'd want that in their
But the
house?
funniest one I've ever seen, right, is one where you can kill the bugs outside of your house as well. They're outside. That's where they're supposed to be. Why would you kill
What would you
bugs
kill them
outside
for?
of your house?
I know, poor things.
Yeah,
mean,
I know.
It's all about ecology, you know what I mean? I'm really not into
Crazy.
killing bugs with poisons. You keep a clean house, you're not going to have any bugs. We don't have any bugs in our house.
No.
You know, every now and again we'll see the spider, and I'll usually try to catch it and put it outside gently.
Get that spider.
We had that snake because we live right on the beach, and in front of our house is a few sand dunes. And one day I came home, and you were on the table when you rang me.
There's a snake in the laundry.
A brown snake, and they're quite toxic.
Second most dangerous, poisonous snake in the world.
No, I don't think.
That's what I looked up.
Okay, that's what they say about a lot of snakes.
say the type
But
A
look,
is the
let's
worst.
face it, they're not that safe, and they're pretty big, and that was over a metre long.
Yeah, it was
So
pretty big.
the beauty of living near sand dunes is there's lots of wild.
Yeah, you've got the ecosystem
We've got some
around it
wild
as well.
foxes there.
Yeah, yeah.
We got all sorts of things, and you know what? I love being close to
very
nature.
beautiful. Mm.
I love it. But the thing is, what I love about being on the beach is you've got a lot of fresh air, because I like to open up all the windows in the morning and some
that's
fresh
the
air
best
in,
part, yeah.
because I think it's important to get away from those toxins, and it's great to ground yourself and do some grounding and walk on the
Absolutely.
beach. I love that, and even in winter I like to take my top off, even though our neighbours think it's a bit strange. But I like to get a bit of vitamin D, because vitamin D is very important for autoimmune. And a lot of people are low on vitamin D. You need to check their levels, and in winter maybe you need to take some supplementation.
I think the whole craze with people avoiding the sun sort of started in the early 2000s when people started getting skin cancer.
Well, look,
and then there was a big, massive scare, and then there were all these marketing
the
campaigns
slip,
by the
slop,
Cancer
slap. See,
Council.
the slip, slop, slap thing. You know, they go
Yes.
slip,
Yes,
slip on a
that's
t-shirt,
a
slap
marketing
onto
campaign
sunscreen, and put slap on a hat.
by the Cancer Council.
That is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Ridiculous. I really think that.
I think that's what started the whole vitamin D deficiency, because everyone was super scared to go out in the sun and get any sun.
They were. And I really think that vitamin D is very important, and the best way to get it is in the sun, especially in the morning. I like to do about half an hour every morning.
So if you are vitamin D deficient, you're not just going to go out and lay in the sun for 2 hours. You need to slowly start introducing it and getting out there, having some walks in the sun and things like
Totally.
that.
You do it a little bit at a time. I do about.
Build it up, yeah.
You can build it up 10 minutes and then go up from there, but I reckon about half an hour gives you about 20,000 IU of vitamin D, which is plenty. Because one of those subs is normally like 500. Half an hour in the sun, you've got 20,000 free of charge.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel better. And also getting that blue light in your eyes in the morning is going to help your circadian rhythm. So it's great. So yeah, I think vitamin D is very important. The other thing that I've been using is HBOT.
Right. Interesting. So HBOT is hyperbaric oxygen chamber.
Yes, so you know when divers get the bends and they try to save them, they put them in a chamber with really high pressure to pressurise them and slowly get them out. Well, HBOT is a chamber, but what they do is they put a mask on you and give you 100% oxygen for you to
Right.
breathe. Now, if you know Boyle's law, I'm getting a bit nerdy here.
I don't know Boyle's law.
Okay, so what happens
Is
is...
it related to Susan Boyle?
No, no. Boyle was a scientist. So basically, what happens is air dissolving in water depends on the pressure in. So, let's say, for example, on the Earth's surface, and you've got a cup of water and you want to boil it, you have to bring it up to 100 degrees temperature.
Is that why they call it Boyle's law?
No. But if you want to evaporate water on the surface of the Earth, what do you need to do? You need to heat water up to 100 degrees.
Yes.
If you go up to Mount Everest, well, it'd be harder to heat it up because it's cold, but also you don't need to heat it up as much
Because of the
because
atmospheric
there's
pressure.
less pressure. So it's easier for it to come out.
Yeah.
So as you put the pressure down, guess what happens? More air gets into the blood.
So HBOT's got low pressure?
High pressure.
Oh, high pressure,
Yeah,
sorry,
so
yeah.
because of high pressure, what it does, it forces more oxygen
Into your blood.
and therefore into other parts of your system. And through that, it creates an anti-inflammatory response.
Awesome.
But not only that, the amazing thing is not only that, it actually improves your IQ and fixes lesions in your brain. There's a lot about HBOT. It's amazing stuff. And I'd like to actually interview a guy about it and do a whole hour on it, because it's been a pretty amazing thing for a lot of different issues.
And it's only really recently, I guess, been used for this sort of...
It's really big in the
thing.
States and in China, but in Australia, we've only got really one place where you can do proper treatment, because we've got the soft chambers and they don't really work. But I actually bought my own.
Soft chamber?
No, hard chamber. I bought my own hard chamber, which is coming in next couple
So
of
what's
weeks.
the difference between soft chamber and hard chamber? I know I don't want to go too much in depth into this.
I'll go quickly. A soft chamber only goes to about 1.2 atmospheres.
Okay.
So you're not getting a lot of pressure.
And a hard
chamber
shell,
goes up to 2 or 3
and
atmospheres.
that's what you need to get
Yes.
the results.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
great.
right.
So I guess along your journey, you've been doing all these different things. Are you still learning? Are there still things that you're implementing, week by week? You're discovering new things?
Look, I think you never stop learning. And, I think it's a journey. The destination is to improve your health. And one part of it is the Crohn's, but, it's not just that. I really believe in health in general, and I really want to get the best health that I can. Because I think the most important thing in life is time.
Right.
Because time is a gift that you're given.
Absolutely.
And
once it's gone, it's
once
gone
it's
forever.
gone, it's gone
you can't
forever.
get it back.
So it's more important than money to me, more important than anything. And time is about health. The funny thing is time and health are interrelated.
Yeah,
now, but
totally.
also quality of time and health are interrelated too.
Yeah.
Because there's no point having a long time if you're having a shit time or you're not healthy. So being healthy, energetic, robust and happy for as long as possible, it's not a bad goal to have.
No.
Right? That's what I think. So my health journey is all about creating more quality time on this
Beautiful.
earth.
And anything else you want to add to...
Yeah, I want to talk about drugs.
Okay. What type of drugs?
Okay, let's talk about drugs. Let's talk about CBD.
Okay.
So what they found is CBD is actually, let's talk about marijuana. Marijuana, there's THC, the stuff that gets you high, but there's also CBD and CBA and CBDA and different things, right? And the CBD in marijuana is actually anti-inflammatory, and they found that it's amazing stuff for a lot of stuff, but also a lot to do with the immune system. So it's funny there were receptors for it inside our body, especially inside our gut. So I've been experimenting with CBD oil, right? So I think that's pretty exciting. And there's also a thing called naltrexone.
What the heck is that?
Naltrexone, they originally used it in 20 milligram tablets to help heroin addicts and alcoholics to get off drugs and alcoholism.
Wow. Yeah.
And what they discovered, I don't know how they discovered this, at low doses of like 1.5 to 3 milligrams, it actually can reduce inflammation and help with autoimmune. So what it does, if you take it at night, for about an hour at night, it switches off your opioid receptors. So it switches off your immune system. So then when it switches back on, your immune system reinvigorates and comes back in. And for some reason, that's got an anti-inflammatory effect.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I looked that up and I've tried that as well. And we have to talk about cryotherapy too.
Oh, yes.
So one thing that I do is I've got a sauna, and because we live near the beach, after having a sauna, I love to run in and jump in the ocean, which can be cold in winter. It's
So
awesome.
this is doing hot and cold therapy.
Hot and cold therapy, but also in the mornings I like to sort of have a cold shower for 3 minutes, and that really reduces inflammation as well.
And it wakes you up as well.
And it takes a lot of discipline. and I
Damn,
must
does it
say,
wake you up?
I must say, I haven't done it recently.
Whenever I'm tired, I just jump in the shower and have a cold shower for like 2 minutes, and it just totally like changes your state.
Yeah, I want to record a really cool song with timings, and then I can just put it on, and I know my time,
And
how long
listen
it's
to
been.
it, yeah.
But I know one guy, and what he does, he'll get up in the morning and go outside and just get a hose and pour on his head.
Oh my God.
Like the guy is crazy, right?
Who does that?
There's a guy, he used to be the second strongest man in Australia. He used to be my trainer, really cool guy, Ben Madden. He puts a hose.
Right.
Yeah, so
yeah.
basically there's cryotherapy as well, which I do. So that's when they get liquid nitrogen and cool the air down to minus 110 degrees and put you in there for 3 minutes. And I think that's even easier than having an ice bath. I don't know if you've ever tried an ice bath, but it's tough. You get a bag of ice, put in your bath and leave it there and then jump in.
Oh.
And it's very, very hard to do and very wet. But the cryotherapy is easy. So what you do is you go in there, it's minus 110 and you think, minus 110, God. But because it's not a liquid, it's air, it's quite easy to handle. And after 3 minutes of it taking to minus 110, it reduces the inflammation markers for quite a while.
Right.
Yes.
Awesome.
So I'm going to keep testing and keep going on this journey because, yes, we've got a destination there of improving our health and everything else like that, but it's a journey that's very enjoyable. I'm having a lot of fun learning
And
new
you're
things.
constantly learning and, discovering new research. New research is always coming out. So we're constantly tweaking and fine-tuning our diet and lifestyle as well.
Absolutely. So, excellent. That's about it.
And I guess it's all about, not only finding that, having the knowledge to seek out the right information, but actually applying it as well and seeing the results is what matters.
Absolutely. And the important thing is the measuring, because when you measure things, you know the results. And it's great. Now, what we're going to do is down the track, we're looking at doing some Facebook Live sessions where we're going to be interacting with the audience live. So what you need to do is look up the Ugly Truth podcast on Facebook and join
our group. Send us a request and we'll get you in.
Once we've got enough people on there, we're going to start doing a few live stuff so we can really interact and get the questions live.
Absolutely.
And this is one of the subjects we're going to oops, I just hit the microphone. One of the subjects we're going to be talking about. So thank you once again.
Now I'm going to sing us out on a song because this podcast has been all about how George obviously healed his gut.
But how we're going to heal everyone else.
How we're going to
hopefully.
heal the world. So
Well, we're all doing it together.
here we go. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying if you care enough for the living. So make a better place for you and for me. Thank you
Excellent.
guys.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
For everyone listening, thank you once again. Stay well and see you next episode.
For awesome info and trending content, go to theuglytruth.log.